Thank you for joining us here on ABC 24 Plus, also live streaming on Facebook on my page and on the ABC 24 Memphis Facebook page. I'm Chief Meteorologist Trevor Birchett. It's a little after 4 o'clock on your Thursday afternoon, January 22nd, and as nice as the weather is right now, we have some big time changes on the way as we continue to track what appears to be a pretty significant, substantial winter storm making its way into the Mid-South. I will tell you, since we are live on Facebook right now, I do have the comments pulled up on my page and on the ABC 24 page. So if you have questions or comments, leave them there. I'm going to get to them at the end, though, because I have a feeling I'm going to be able to answer a lot of your questions as we go here during this live stream. So if you are watching now, feel free to comment. This could also be replaying through the day. So if you're not watching live, you'll just have to rely on everybody else's questions and comments that came on while we were live. Let's get right to it. There's not been a major change to the forecast today as opposed to what we were thinking yesterday. I still expect a major winter storm Saturday and Sunday. I do feel a little better now about saying Friday's okay. I had originally expected maybe a little bit of that wintry mix late Friday night, but I think it could be after midnight for most of us. So Friday looks fine. I think it's Saturday and Sunday that are the biggest issues, even into next week. Still looks like a significant winter storm with a mix of snow, sleet, and ice. That is a change from what we were thinking a few days ago. We were initially thinking mainly just snow, but things have shifted a little bit and it's introduced a little more sleet, maybe even a little more ice. We'll talk about that, but regardless of what you see, it is going to be winter weather, snow, sleet, and ice, major travel issues through the weekend and into next week probably, because it actually gets really cold next week. So whatever's here is going to be here for a while. And then, of course, we also have the potential of some power outages. For the areas that are expecting ice, power outages become a lot more of an issue. We're going to detail all of that here in just a little bit. Here is the current outlook. These are your weather alerts that we have in effect. Most of us are in a winter storm warning in pink. That includes us in Memphis, DeSoto County, eastern Arkansas, most of West Tennessee. Those areas in the winter storm warning, that's where we mainly expect sleet and snow. That's why we're calling that a winter storm warning. National Weather Service has issued an ice storm warning for portions of North Mississippi, also for Hardeman and McNairy County. This is the zone that it looks like it's mainly going to be ice and freezing rain, which is a lot worse than just snow and sleet, if I'm being honest. So this is the zone where it seems like ice is most likely. That includes Quitman County, Batesville, Senatobia, Holly Springs, Oxford, up to Corinth, Selmer, and Bolivar. That is the zone that will likely have the biggest impact, and they're not even going to see much snow. They are probably going to see mostly ice. We'll detail more about that here in a second, but I want to get back to the timing for just a little bit. Again, Friday I think looks fine. It is going to be a little chilly, 37's the high. This all starts Friday night, maybe 11 p.m. So again, school and work on Friday look fine. If you're trying to catch the last flight out to Mexico before all this mess hits, should be okay for Friday. It's going to be late Friday night, really in the overnight hours that this starts. So by the time you wake up Saturday, there will be some kind of winter weather happening. Some of us will see the snow, some of us will see the sleet, some of us will see the ice. That's going to continue all day Saturday into Saturday night and into Sunday morning. We won't see this stop until Sunday afternoon. So we're talking all day Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday morning, maybe Sunday afternoon before this ends. But of course, impacts will last much longer because it's going to be so cold. High of 21 for Saturday and Sunday, lows in the teens. So whatever falls, it's going to stick. And it's going to be around for a while because we're not warming up anytime soon. Here's generally what we're thinking. Now, there could be some times that this, changes just a little bit. These hard lines that we have between what's going to happen, these could shift just a little bit as the day goes on. So some of us might start with snow, go to sleet. Others might start with sleet and then go to snow. Others could start with some ice and then go to sleet. So this is just a generalization of what I think is going to happen. Just be aware these lines could move a little bit and they could move back and forth through the day. Up north, I'm still thinking mainly snow. That would be like Jonesboro, Blytheville, Dyersburg. They are likely going to see all snow out of this. The further south you go, we're going to start to see sleet mix in. That includes us in Memphis, Wynne, Oakland. Somebody was just asking about that. Brownsville, Tipton County up to Jackson, Tennessee. That zone in orange, that's going to be where, to be honest with you, that area might see mostly sleet, including Memphis. So a lot of people have been calling this a snowstorm for Memphis. It might be a sleet storm more than anything. I do think there could be some times that we see snow in Memphis, but I think a good chunk of this time is going to be sleet in Memphis. Sleet still accumulates, and if we get any snow, it's going to accumulate more. So I do still expect some accumulations in Memphis, but because there's sleet mixing in, those accumulations could be lesser. Even less snow the further south you go. Once we get into North Mississippi, it looks like sleet and freezing rain, especially for places like Oxford up to Corinth and Selmer. That's where it's going to look like it's raining, but it's going to freeze on contact with everything. It is the worst thing ever. A lot of people have been talking about the ice storm of 1994. I don't expect that. I mean, we had like 4 to 5 inches of ice in 1994, but it is going to be the same type of precipitation where it looks like it's raining, but it's going to freeze into ice. I do not expect this to be 1994. If you lived through that, I know you never want to do it again, but there will be some ice with this. It does not take much. We had 4 inches of ice in 1994. It doesn't take that much to cause major issues. So even a little bit of ice in North Mississippi is going to cause a big issue, and that's why the ice storm warning is in effect for those locations. So now that we've broken down what we're expecting, let's talk about what that is. You know what snow is. Sleet, that's those little ice pellets. They fall down already frozen. So what happens with sleet is, even though it's really cold at the ground, somewhere up in the atmosphere, several thousand feet up, there's a layer that gets above freezing. So all of this starts out as snow. As it falls, it melts in some cases. With sleet, that snow would melt, and then it refreezes into those little balls of ice. So sleet, those are those little pellets. So if you're trying to make snowmen or snowballs in Memphis, it's going to be mainly sleet. It's going to hurt if you throw a snowball, so maybe save that for the right person. And then down to the south, North Mississippi, that's going to be the trouble spot where we have more ice and freezing rain. Like I said, that's when it's raining, but it's freezing on everything. That's a big issue because snow and sleet you can get a little traction on, right? Ice you cannot get traction on. If you have four-wheel drive, it's going to be four-wheel spinning on ice because solid ice, you can't go anywhere. Can't even try to get out. That also weighs down the power lines. So freezing rain is the absolute worst. And again, we do expect that in parts of North Mississippi. The rest of us, I think it's going to be more of a mix of this snow and sleet. Memphis will probably be mostly sleet, but I can't rule out a little snow at times. This is the latest hour-by-hour radar. This has come into a little bit of a more high-resolution model that we can kind of zoom right in and take this hour by hour. So for everybody right now asking, about specific locations, timing, this should answer a lot of your questions about what's going to fall and when it's going to happen. So I'm starting the clock Friday night at 6 p.m. Totally clear. So again, work and school just fine on Friday. Again, if you want to catch that last flight out, Friday's a good day to do it. This is going to come in overnight Friday. So look at the radar now. I've stopped it at 1 a.m. Saturday. That's really when this is going to be starting. Early in the morning on Saturday. And I want to get your colors straight here just because it's going to help us as we look through the rest of this. Blue is snow. Purple is sleet. Remember those little ice pellets that we talked about? There's no pink in here yet, but the pink that you're going to see, that's going to be the freezing rain and ice. So as this starts, Memphis could actually start with some snow and maybe some sleet mixed. It looks like mainly snow north of I-40, sleet at first, at least, in North Mississippi. And that continues through Saturday morning. So early on Saturday, we could actually see some decent snowfall in Memphis. This is where we could pick up a quick 1 to 2 or 3 inches of snow right off the bat Saturday morning. But as we go through the day Saturday, that line of sleet is going to move further north. So by 10 a.m. Saturday, most of us are seeing sleet. Notice your temperatures are well below freezing at the surface. Still some snow off to the north, but that line is going to keep moving north. And here comes the ice. That pink, that's the freezing rain. That's where it's going to look like it's raining, but it's freezing on everything. So as we get to Saturday night, we get another round of precipitation that comes in. This is where it's going to be a lot of sleet. Saturday evening and Saturday night, 10 p.m., all that purple is going to be those little sleet pellets. But look in North Mississippi, Corinth, Holly Springs, Oxford. By Saturday night, this is where it could turn into that freezing rain. Again, it will look like it's just raining, but it's going to be freezing on everything in this pink zone right here. And that pink zone gets even heavier through Sunday morning. Notice maybe even Senatobia, Oxford, Holly Springs, Corinth, right around the freezing mark. Early Sunday morning is going to be that freezing rain. Memphis on this model is still sleet. So we're going to be having several hours of sleet. It looks like eastern Arkansas and most of northwest Tennessee might be mainly sleet at this point as well. Still could be some snow mixing in at times. The real question is, how far north does this line get? Do we get the freezing rain in Memphis? I think we could for a little bit. I do think we could have some minor ice accumulations, maybe a little glaze in Memphis, but I think the most significant ice accumulations are going to be further down into North Mississippi and especially even really in towards Selmer and Bolivar, Tennessee. By Sunday, 6 a.m., still a mix of some snow and sleet, freezing rain to the south of all of this. And then as we get closer to lunchtime on Sunday, that's when we will start to see all of this wrap up. Maybe another quick round of just snow on the backside, but it kind of ends as a sleet and snow mix and then clears out through the rest of Sunday. So that is the hour by hour. That kind of shows you the dividing lines. And again, like I said, those lines can move a little bit. We're talking a 20-mile difference between sleet and freezing rain in places like DeSoto County. So this can change very quickly. It might be one of those things where we kind of have to wait and see what happens. Does it end up as sleet or does it end up as more of freezing rain? I'll tell you, anytime you see the rain, that's when it's going to be the ice, and that's when we should start to get concerned. So I'm going to show you our latest forecast maps. This one is going to include sleet and snow because that's what's going to kind of accumulate. So the further north you go, the more it's likely to be just snow. I'm looking at Truman, Blytheville, Dyersburg. I think it's mainly snow with some sleet mixed in. That's going to pile up a little bit more since there's more snow. 4 to 7 inches up there. The further south you go toward Memphis, the more you're going to see sleet. And again, I think for Memphis, this is mostly sleet. I don't want to get anybody surprised. I don't expect necessarily a snowstorm for Memphis. I think this is going to be mainly a sleet storm, those little ice pellets, but that could still accumulate 3 to 5 inches of sleet, maybe with some snow mixing in at times. That's the same situation for Forest City, Covington, Tipton County over toward Brownsville as well. Once you get even further south into North Mississippi, McNairy County, Hardeman County, that's where the snow really goes away, and it's going to be sleet mixed with that freezing rain and ice. That's why your totals go down, because there's not going to be really any snow or sleet accumulation. That's going to be all ice. So in North Mississippi, where you see these totals go down, the ice is going to be higher, and that's what we're looking at on this map here. Notice when you get into North Mississippi, we're looking at 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of ice in North Mississippi. That could be very, very devastating. I'm looking especially in this corridor from Oxford, Holly Springs, and Corinth, maybe even up to Selmer and McNairy County. That's where it seems like we're going to have the highest chance of an ice storm. And 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of ice is very bad. I'll show you a graphic here in a second of kind of what that will do. Even in Memphis, though, I think we could get 1/10 of an inch of ice. That's not as catastrophic as what we're seeing down here. Again, Memphis is going to be more of sleet and snow, but we could get just a little freezing rain on top of it. It's certainly not going to help the situation. And anytime you get freezing rain and ice, it makes the power situation worse. Off to the north, I'm not expecting a whole lot of freezing rain. Talking about that glaze, that's just barely enough to even register. A glaze of ice is like when it does coat things, but if you look at the pavement, you can still see some rocks kind of popping out in between the glaze. So it's not a solid sheet of ice. It's just kind of a little sprinkling of some of that freezing rain. The biggest concern, though, is going to be in North Mississippi. And remember some of these totals. Memphis, we're talking about maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice on top of our sleet and freezing rain. 1/4 of an inch of ice for Tunica, Clarksdale, Bolivar. Probably 1/2 inch of ice from Oxford to Holly Springs to Corinth and to Selmer. So with that in mind, let's talk about what that would look like. So again, we're talking just ice now, not even including the sleet or the snow that some of us will get. If you get 1/10 of an inch of ice, that's going to cover those roadways. It's going to slick up the bridges. It's going to cover your windshields, and it could result in some power outages. Even a little bit of ice on the power lines can kind of weigh them down. Once you get up to 1/4 of an inch of ice, so that's what we're looking at for Senatobia, Tunica, Clarksdale, maybe even Bolivar, that's when roads are just solid ice. Tree limbs start to bend a little bit with 1/4 of an inch, and that's when the power lines just start to snap down. They start to get weighed down so much that the lines are just completely falling. That's when we start to get serious power outages, and again, that's possible in North Mississippi. 1/2 an inch of ice is catastrophic. Roads are just completely covered. Trees are coming down. I'm talking entire trees now that are weighed down by the ice. And we're talking about long-term power outages because poles are coming down, lines are getting snapped out. It is impossible to drive on that much ice, and you've got those big power outages. So again, going back to the ice graphic here, in these zones, Oxford, Holly Springs, Corinth, Selmer, Bolivar, even Tunica and Clarksdale, we could be talking about very serious ice accumulations and an impact that would last longer than the areas that just see snow and sleet. Ice really takes a longer time to come back for. So again, ice is most likely in North Mississippi. To the north, though, we start to get some sleet mixing in. We get some snow to mix in once you go further north. But for Memphis, again, just to recap, I think it's 3 to 5 inches of sleet, maybe some snow, maybe some ice on top of that. And then you get up into northeast Arkansas and northwest Tennessee. That's where it's mainly snow, and that could add up to 4 to 7 inches. Phillips County, Arkansas, kind of the same thing. It looks like a sleet and ice mix. And some tough issues on the roadways, even into southeast Arkansas, like Phillips County as well. So just to recap all of that, and again, this will be available for replay if you want to go back and watch it. I'm also on again at 5 p.m. with more details if you want to watch there. We're expecting snow, sleet, and ice starting late Friday night, probably not until 11 p.m., so most of Friday's fine. It continues all the way through Sunday. Another thing we have to focus on is the bitter cold. This is dangerous cold weather. And also, we're talking about the potential of power outages. So we're going to have a lot of people, especially in that ice zone in North Mississippi, that lose power. And it's going to turn bitter cold. That's in addition to the travel concerns. So I would expect major travel issues through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and probably into most of next week. And this is why. Look at these temperatures. 21, your high temperatures Saturday and Sunday. 20 on Monday. 31 on Tuesday. We only barely get above freezing on Wednesday, high of 35, but then it looks like we get cold again. So we might get to 35 Wednesday, but then this stuff is just going to keep refreezing. So we're talking about several days next week of serious road issues, especially in the zones that get a little bit more ice. I don't want to discredit the cold, though, because that is a huge deal, too. Through the day Saturday, as it's snowing, as it's sleeting, as it's icing, whatever it's going to do in your neighborhood, wind chills will be in the single digits. It's going to stay bitterly cold Sunday. This is when we could start to see power outages, and the wind chill is going to be 4 in Memphis. So that clears out Sunday, but now Monday morning, the sunshine's going to come back out, but the wind chill will be in the negatives. Look at Tuesday morning, even colder. -10 to -12 degrees on your wind chill. And this is when we could be talking about folks not having power. So this is when it really starts to get dangerous. People try to find ways to stay warm. They end up starting fires accidentally. People might not have heat in general. This is when we have to be neighbors. We have to be friends. We have to be family. Check in on each other. If you have an elderly neighbor or a disabled neighbor, take time to check in on them and make sure they are staying warm and staying safe. But everybody in general just needs to be at home, off the roads for the weekend. likely through most of next week as well, because with wind chills like that on the feels like, the ice or whatever falls is not going anywhere anytime soon. So when it gets this cold, remember your peas, your people, your pets, and your pipes. Through the weekend and next week, drip those faucets, open the cabinet doors, make sure your outdoor spigots are covered as well. So before we wrap up here, I'll show you one more time the maps that we're thinking. And then if you have any other questions, now's the time to get to them. But again, I hope I kind of answered some of those as we go. This is all starting late Friday night by 11 p.m. So Friday, for the most part, looks fine. Saturday and Sunday, it's kind of an all-day affair of sleet, snow, and ice. And what you get depends on where you live. Up to the north, Blytheville, Dyersburg, mainly snow with some sleet. Memphis, I think it's the opposite. I think it's mainly sleet with a little snow, maybe even a little freezing rain mixing in at times. But I think what Memphis is going to see, including DeSoto County, we kind of lumped that in to Memphis, and I know how DeSoto County people feel about that. I grew up in South Haven, so I get it, but just understand we cannot put every little community on the map. So generally, the Memphis metro is Shelby County, Crittenden County, and DeSoto County. So when we say Memphis, that's kind of what we're talking about there. I think even DeSoto County is a little bit more sleet than anything, but the further south you go, the more ice is going to mix in with the sleet. So places like Oxford, Batesville, Corinth, even Selmer, really, this could be a big-time ice storm. Again, hopefully these lines shift a little bit. I would take sleet or snow any day of the week and twice on Sunday over ice. We do not want the ice, but it does look like it's becoming a concern in North Mississippi. Hopefully that goes away. Hopefully it's just sleet. But I have to let you know there's at least a potential of some of that ice and freezing rain down there. And again, the difference is sleet falls as those little pellets. So it's almost like tiny pebbles. It's really, I don't want to say it's easy to drive on, but it's much better than driving on solid ice, like what's going to happen with freezing rain. When you get that rain that falls down, it ices everything over. You cannot get any traction whatsoever on that. So just one more check at the snow totals. Yeah, next week, minus 12 wind chill, not out of the question next week. So as we're looking ahead to your snow and sleet totals, again, Memphis, 3 to 5 inches. That's going to be mostly sleet, but there could be some snow at times. But it is going to be more of a sleet storm for Memphis, I think. If we get more snow to mix in, these numbers could go up a little bit. That's why the numbers are a little higher up in northeast Arkansas, northwest Tennessee. I think there's more snow instead of sleet. That could put them at 4 to 7. And then lower totals for sleet and snow to the south, because that's where the ice starts to mix in. So I'm very concerned again about Oxford, Holly Springs, Corinth, Selmer, even into the Delta. If you get a 1/4 inch of ice, that's going to be a big problem. So we're really going to be watching North Mississippi, maybe even into Hardeman and McNairy counties for bigger issues with icing, freezing rain, long-term power outages possible, and again, big problems on the roadways. I do want to remind you as we kind of wrap up here, you can watch our extended coverage anytime on ABC 24 Plus if you don't have it yet. Even if you don't pay for cable or satellite, if you have a smart TV, you can download this for free. Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, or Samsung, we're going to be live pretty much all weekend with continuous updates there. You can also watch our newscasts on that free app. For your phone, be sure to download us ABC 24. It's free again for your phone, Apple or Android. You can download that and get the latest radar forecasts and all kind of stuff right in the palm of your hand. So again, looking at Friday, I think for the most part it's fine. Go out, get your last minute shopping done, buy just enough to get by for a few days. You do not need to stockpile like the world is ending. But you might want to be prepared to just hang out in the house for just a little bit. Lisa, definitely not minimizing 3 inches of snow and sleet at all. However, there is a huge difference between if you see sleet and if you see ice. We've been very clear that everybody is going to see major travel issues, regardless of if you're seeing snow, sleet, or ice. It's going to be big issues. You probably do not want to be on the roads through the weekend, but it is going to be much worse if you were in the ice zone in North Mississippi. So yeah, we're not saying it's going to be just fine if there's sleet in your neighborhood, but I would take the sleet any day over the solid sheet of ice. I think most of you would agree with me there, especially if you went through 94. Looking ahead to the weekend though, again, Saturday and Sunday, pretty much all day, Snow, sleet, or freezing rain, depending on where you are. It will end by Sunday night, but look at your temperature. 4 degrees Monday morning, even after this ends. Wind chills could be -10. So whatever's on the ground is not going away anytime soon. High of 20 on Monday. And then it looks like 3 degrees Tuesday morning. That's when we could see wind chills of -12 to -15. So again, the dangerous cold is going to be a big problem here too, especially if we have, some power outages that start popping up. Hopefully we don't. Sunshine Tuesday, high of 31. We might get to 35 Wednesday, but we're still going to have major issues on the roadways, possibly through the end of next week, in addition to the extreme bitter cold. So a pretty significant system here. I know a lot of us, some of us, I don't want to include me in that, but some folks were expecting 18 to 20 inches of snow based off what your Apple weather app was saying. We told you that was going to be bogus, but I know a lot of people were hoping for some more snow. Just have some fun in. Snow's a lot easier to have fun in than sleet is. I'm sorry that it's trended this way, kind of to the north. It's put Memphis more in the sleet zone. It's definitely put North Mississippi more in the ice zone, which again, nobody wants. But this is still going to be a very impactful winter storm. Snow, sleet, or freezing rain. I'll show you the map one more time of just what we're expecting in general. Snow more likely to the north. For Memphis, it becomes more of a sleet issue. Those areas in orange, that would include Tipton County, DeSoto County. And then once you really get into North Mississippi, even Helena, West Helena, over to Clarksdale, Tunica, Senatobia, Batesville, Oxford, Corinth, even up to Selmer, ice could be a big issue. Some areas see up to 1/2 inch of just freezing rain and ice, which could be catastrophic for power outages and for power lines as well. So if I can tell you anything going into this weekend, just stay home. Buy what you need to. Please don't buy out the whole store. We're going to get through this just like we always do. I said earlier, I do not expect this to be 1994, but any ice is bad ice. In 94, we had 4 inches of ice. I do not expect that. We're looking at 1/2 inch, maybe a little more than that in North Mississippi. That's still very bad. But I don't think this is a situation where we're stuck in the house for a month. This is going to be a thing where maybe through the weekend and next week. So get your normal weekly grocery run, maybe get a few extra snacks. You do not need to buy out the entire store, but I do want you to be prepared. It's probably a time that you're going to just want to hang in the house this weekend and into next week. As far as when it might get better, it depends on what you see. Snow and sleet is going to go away a lot quicker than ice. Ice could stick around a little bit longer and could be more of an issue, of course, with the extreme cold. That could be a concern as well. So that's the update for now. We're going to keep this kind of replaying through the rest of the day. So if you're not watching this live, you can go to the ABC 24 Plus app and watch this on replay. We also have our newscast there. We've got one coming up in about 30 minutes. So we will see you there with the latest. But for now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Trevor Birchett. Thanks so much for joining us.